Well, hello, SHELL-oween buddies, and welcome back to the ESH-Way BEEZ-You channel. This week, we've got some great SHELL-oween decorations with a coastal flair. Who said Halloween had to be black and orange? Who made that rule? Now, I have a slightly different take on Halloween. Number one, I call it SHELL-oween. And number two, I don't think orange and black needs to be the end-all, be-all of decorating, especially with those of us that are shellers and coastal crafters. That stuff doesn't match our decor, like at all. It just doesn't. So I came up with some really cute projects that carry a little bit of the season's theme without all the, gloom and doom and darkness, with some nicer colors that'll actually match your decor and be cute and fun to work on. In particular, these cute decorated little sand dollars are they're perfect for sitting there and working with the kids, the grandkids, or as a teacher for something fun to do in your class. But I designed these first couple of projects to be easy, accessible, something that everybody could do to have fun for Halloween, SHELL-oween, without actually breaking the bank on cost or on difficulty. Now, project number 3 is incredibly advanced. All right, I don't have room to put that project in with these other 2 projects, or else you're looking at like a 5-6 hour video here. That won't work. So I've separated out the painted sand dollars, the decoupage sand dollars, and the decoupage craft pumpkins as this video, and then I will have to figure out how to condense that harder project into something that's a little more manageable for people to watch. So let's do a little introduction on the projects that we're going to be talking about for our SHELL-oween celebration. We have some modified sand dollars, some decoupage pumpkins over there on the right hand side, and then on the bottom left is a really cool candle holder centerpiece too that lights up. Here's how you get coastal pumpkins without all the orange and jack-o'-lantern. You actually decoupage some napkins onto some craft pumpkins, and look at these. They're beautiful. You can put these in your home all year round. They don't need to be strictly a Halloween thing. Then we have these adorable little modified sand dollars. Little paint and a few shark's teeth, some ribbon, and some embellishment make for some adorable little hangers. And then I also decoupaged a couple of the sand dollars too, kind of right there behind where my candles are. He's like a necklace on my heron, and it's done with a like a fall themed pumpkin theme. Here I have another one hanging up at the center of my curtain holder rod as well, where the little bracket is, and it's just some cute little pumpkins. Let's talk about some of the materials and tools that you're going to need to accomplish these projects. For the spooky sand dollars, you're going to need some sand dollars, naturally. I gave them all a coat of white chalk paint. I also had some orange, black, and teal craft paints, as well as assorted brushes for doing some details and some wider covering. A black Sharpie for some real fine little details. A glue gun and glue sticks. I use Gorilla, even though I'm not sponsored by those guys. But hey, if they wanted to sponsor me from using their stuff, I would not be, I wouldn't have my feelings hurt. Let's just put it that way. Love their product. Love how it holds. It's great. Okay, some ribbon and some black lace. Black lace is used on the little embellishment on that white and teal pumpkin. The ribbon is just to put hangers on the back, so whatever color, whatever texture you want there. I also have some jewelry embellishments in here, like bead caps and rhinestones. I have some tiny shells, some tiny bows, and in the center of the little orange pumpkin, that's actually fossil shark's teeth that you see there, making up the eyes, nose, and smile. And for the coastal beachy pumpkins, you're going to want some craft pumpkins. I got mine at Hobby Lobby. They're a hard plastic and hollow on the inside. If you drop them, they will break, so be careful with them. The tall one is approximately 5 inches wide by about 7 inches high, and the smaller one is about 4 inches wide and about 3 inches high. I also had some patterned napkins with shells, a seahorse, little sea turtles, different kind of coastal motifs on here. And you're going to need some Mod Podge. I prefer the pump spray stuff, the thin stuff to work with. Other people like the thicker Mod Podge. Other people like the thick Mod Podge, watered down. It's up to you, but you will need some. I also use Gorilla Glue Clear to go over the top of everything and make a really nice, deep, shiny coat on all of it. Assorted paintbrushes, and for the Gorilla Clear, get a disposable foam brush because this stuff is really tough to clean up. I'm not even going to lie to you about that. You're going to want something to protect your work surface. I have a silicone mat, but I still needed to put out wax paper on the top of that mat so that the Gorilla Clear would not stick to it when I was finished. And for both projects, whether you're cutting ribbon or decoupage napkins, you're going to want some nice, sharp scissors. Now, because this project here, the centerpiece, is so advanced, this is going to have to be done in a part 2, but I'm going to go ahead and give you the materials list now so that you can find what it is that you need to actually put this together. And I'm also going to be putting together some kits on my website where you'll be able to get the little green limpets and those little sun and moon shells that are kind of glowing pink there, and the little tiny sand dollar biscuits. So if you don't have access to that kind of stuff, I will have a small kit that I will put together just for those type of shells, and then you can go on ahead and embellish it with whatever else that you would like to. But go ahead and pause here if you think that you're going to want to attempt this project, and take a picture of this material list. This is a much more advanced project, and I was not able to put this all in one video, otherwise it'd be like hours and hours long. All right, if you have all your materials together, let's start on project 1, the spooky sand dollars. To start out with, let's start easy. Let's go with some sand dollars that we make look like jack-o'-lanterns or like ghosts. So I have some that aren't completely cleaned up. They've been, set outside and everything, but they haven't been, bleached or peroxided or anything like that. But if you're going to cover it with a base color, does it even matter, is the real question. So here's one that I've gone ahead and just done up with some chalk paint. This one's like super bright and clean, so I haven't done anything to him. So we're going to make a couple of different little cute things out of these sand dollars. First things first, I want to make a pumpkin. I want to make a ghost. So I'm going to use this one that's already painted white for the ghost. I'll do him next. We'll start out with this orange color and see if I like this color or if I want the next one up. I have 2 different colors of orange. So we'll see how these work out. Honestly, I think I'm gonna like the darker orange better. And before I open this, I'm just gonna give this a really good shake too. Okay, got a couple of paper towels here. This usually ends up being messy. And I'm just using my little Cricut pick tool thing to kind of pop the top off of that paint. I can never get a hold of that with my fingers and get that peeled off of there. So this little weeding tool that Cricut makes, oh gosh, I use this thing for crafting all the time with all sorts of different stuff. It's helpful. And again, just my little Cricut weeding tool. There we go. And just wipe the paint right off of there quick while it's wet. No problem. Let's see how the orange does covering that. Not bad. Now these are not sealed either with the glue water mixture. So these are going to drink in the paint a little bit. And you know, I kind of like that it's not perfect and there is a little bit of like dark shadow showing through there, because you know, it's Halloween. Get some water. Rinse my brush. I'm gonna get a bit of a detailed brush. This is a smaller brush. This is a 3. And it's got that nice point on it, so I can get some fine detail. And let me just take this pencil. I'm gonna kind of sketch my ghost a little bit. I hope this kind of shows. It's sort of light to see the pencil mark in there, so I zoomed in a little closer. Hopefully you guys can see that. And see where the holes are lining up in the bottom of the ghost? It sort of helps with the wrinkled bottom effect of the ghost as well. So that actually works out nicely with this particular design. Here's my little ghost outline. And she needs some eyes. I'm just making a little, kind of like a little kidney bean shape. And then she's gonna end up getting a bow up here. So while my orange is drying, I'll work on a little ghost. And I'm just gonna be honest, I am not the world's best painter, so be kind. My friend Darlene over at SHELL-O is a lot better at this stuff than I am. And to make this faster, if you're doing a party, for example, and you want to make a bunch of these little ghosts, and you don't want to sit here and paint all of them white by hand, just take them outside and spray paint them. It'll come out just fine. And I'm just trying to keep it, you know, even on both sides, but it doesn't have to be. I actually have a little more character and interest if they aren't all the same, if you're doing more than one. And for this part, I want to make sure I don't have my brush dry or anything. I don't want that to be an incomplete line around the edge of the eye. My goodness, that is so cute. So there's our little ghost. You can put a little mouth here if you want to, or you can kind of treat this hole here in the sand dollar like it is one too. But I think she's really cute the way she is, and she's gonna be just precious with a little bow. And we'll give her a couple of little eyelashes here. And you can draw those with a fine point Sharpie if you're afraid to paint them. There we go. Now let's find a cute little bow for her. And you know what the great thing about this is that if you're doing a coastal Halloween, it doesn't have to be black, orange, yellow, and white. You can use any colors you want. You can do your pumpkins in whites and blues, your ghosts with navy blue or midnight purple instead of black. Like, there's 4 million different ways that you can do this. Now, once she's dry, once my little ghost girl's dry, I'm going to put a bow on her over here and a little piece of ribbon in the back, or piece of burlap twine or something, just to hang it so that it can be hung up. But she's super darling though. Really, really cute. All right, let's find her a bow. But this is this is just that stuff that you curl. This is curling ribbon for doing packages and whatever. And that nice little pink shimmer on that to make a hanger is actually really cute, and it's really thin, so this will go on the back super easy. And pink and white and black are actually kind of in for Halloween this year too. And I've got some little bows here. Let's see what we're working with here. What do I got for colors that would look kind of Halloween-y? Well, if I want to keep it sort of coastal, I can give her a blue bow. Or if I want to do the pink, white, and black thing, I can give her a little pink bow, which that is super cute. I think I like that pink bow. Right, I have a light pink too. How about that? No, I kind of like that darker one. Oh. Have bead caps. That would actually kind of work nicely. Yeah, and then I can put a little rhinestone on it if I would like as well. And the paint is just about dry everywhere except the eyes at this point. I mean, there's just a little bit wet here and a little bit wet here. So, with that being said, I'm going to put the hanger together. And I'm kind of doing it, so I don't know if you can tell that on camera, but it's white shimmer on one side and it's this opalescent pink on the other. And that's what I would like forward for the hanger. Just gonna take my glue gun, put a dot of glue there, because this is a silicone mat, so everything will come right off of it. And I will put a little bit at the back top of my ghost. Line that up right over the top of where the glue went. And we're going to put some glue on the back of that little bow. Not a lot, just a little bit. Stick her little bow right there at the top. And let's get this on. I'm just kind of filling the back of that up. And we'll drop that right on there. And a little bit of glue is kind of coming up through the center. So I'm going to press that down and make it come out, and then use it for the rhinestone. And we'll just let that cool for a second. Now to make this next little one, we're going to pretend we have a white pumpkin instead of an orange one. And I'm going to make this into a cute little jack-o'-lantern too. Peel her off the back, and there you go. There's our cute little ghost. She is darling. Bag of shark's teeth here. Ooh, that's fun. That's a little drumfish tooth fossil right there. That would make a cute little nose. I'm trying to pull out like more brown colored ones instead of the black. There we go. It's funny that this lighter one dried so much faster, but I'll take it.
Yeah, that particular one, the darker painted one that I had it cleaned up first, the paint really didn't want to dry on it for some reason, which is strange. It just didn't work.
Let's make these the eyes. And these guys are big enough where I can actually put a drop of glue on the back of them. Now I can put a drop of glue on the back of them, but honestly, I didn't really want to burn my fingers and drop it, so I just put it on the pumpkin itself. I'm really glad that these are, this paint dried faster for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why, but I'll take it. And when you see me swirling the glue gun around like that, I'm just doing it to cool the glue real quick and just snap it off so that I don't have long glue strings all over the place. That's what that little swirling motion you keep seeing me do is all about right there. Just trying to get the glue not to string out. Ooh. Oh, this one's cuter with the smile. I like that. And yeah, the paint was dry, so that stuff's sticking a lot better. And there we have our little smiley pumpkin, who also needs, you know, a hanger and maybe a bow. I like bows. They look great. Geez, maybe I should get a green bow. Oh yeah, absolutely. These are garfish scales. Be careful because they are very, very sharp. And look at this crazy shape on this one. Almost looks like a leaf coming off. Oh yeah, that's great. Perfect. Yeah, garfish scales are very irregular and very, very pointy and very, very, very sharp. Hopefully that shows on the camera. That those can cut you a little if you're not careful with them. Yeah, that's gonna look great. Garfish scales have a long history of being used for crafty type stuff. And it's kind of more of like a dying lost art sort of a thing, the collecting and the dyeing of them. So So they're not that easy, really, I don't think, to find. Even though I'm here in Florida, it's not we're not a center for garfish, alligator garfish fishing here necessarily. But where it is Louisiana. So you might be able to find some from Louisiana if you're going looking for them. You can find the white ones easily enough, not always the dyed ones. Okay, so pumpkin has the hanger. And now we're gonna attach this stuff. And don't worry if that glue shows a little bit. That's not really a big deal. Remember, we're putting a bow. I did that one upside down to show off the variegation on that scale. And just a little extra glue here for my bow. And there we have a little happy jack-o'-lantern. And I have this cute little orange scallop. I'm going to put it right in the center of that bow too. Just to dress it up. There. How cute is this one? Oh, I like this one so much. That is a cute little sand dollar jack-o'-lantern. Adorable. Nice. So I started painting another one. A nice little oceany colored little guy. Or girl, rather. Because I made this cute black lace bow for it. Looks like a little flower. And I'm just painting, instead of the traditional black, orange, yellow stuff, I'm doing this in a turquoise. Who said Halloween had to be black and orange? Who made that rule? I don't like that rule. Just to make it slightly more of a coastal vibe. Kind of a crazy crooked little smile, but that's all right. It's a happy looking little gal. There we go, that one. Now for this one I have a black velvet for the hanger. And this little thing is going to come off here to the side like this. So here's how to make the little bow for the white and teal pumpkin. Honestly, I thought I had shot this footage already, but when I went and offloaded everything, it was not there. So I'm just going to tell you what I've got going on here. I've got about a 6-inch piece of lace, the needle threaded with some black thread, a bead cap, and a rhinestone. To make the little round part of the flower, I'm just going to take my needle and I'm going to do this, and hopefully this shows on the camera. I'm just making a running stitch. And when I get to the end, stick it all down on the thread. Now this is the fun part. Watch this. Leaving myself enough thread here on one side, and I'm tying a knot, and I'm pulling it tight. And see, it made me a cute little lace rosette. There, that's a little sturdier. It's not going anywhere now. Yeah, so see how this little extra lacy piece sort of just wants to stick out right there? you can take a couple of stitches, put that together, tack it with a little bit of your glue, doesn't matter. And then you're gonna put your bead or your bead cap or whatever you want there as an embellishment. And then you will glue your rhinestone in the center. And that's how you make her little embellishment for her fascinator. And then I might put some rhinestones for the eyes. I'm not sure. It depends. Let's see how this comes out with the black velvet first. And again, I have a silicone mat on my desk, so I can work directly on my mat with hot glue and it will peel off. Now I'm going to put a little on top of that, and I'm going to squish the sand dollar right into it. Just make sure I don't get my fingers in any of that paint that's still wet. Ow. Or hot glue, because, you know, that's hot. Hot. So there's our little lacy, black lacy flower. Just put this off to the side over here. Make it look kind of like a fascinator. There we go. And this just kind of shows you the back. You got a little bit of hot glue here holding the end of your ribbon. Oh my goodness, that one is super cute. I don't think it needs rhinestones in the eyes. I think it's cute just the way it is. This is too much fun. I could do this all day. And here's our 3 spooky sand dollars. The little white and teal with the dressy fascinator, the shark tooth orange with the garfish scale leaves, and our cute little girly ghost. Adorable. And did you know that you could decoupage on sand dollars? You don't have to just paint them. Someone recently gave me this one that says Hello Fall, and I thought those would be kind of perfect for the sand dollars. You know, they're really nice to hang up on the fridge in the kitchen, or put them in your front window. And I'm gonna need 2 of these because I'm gonna put these on the sand dollars. Otherwise it'd be kind of strange to put white pumpkins on, you know, white pumpkins. Let's dive into actually doing the decoupage here for a second. A lot of folks will tell you to use the thicker Mod Podge that comes with the screw top. I like this stuff. This is a liquid spray. I don't spray it, I paint with it. It's thinner than the thick gloopy stuff. And I know when I'm doing this on shells, it works a lot better. You can move your napkin around a little bit if you need to without destroying it. Whereas the thicker stuff sort of grabs onto that and makes that rather impossible. So I'm going to take a brush. And I did shake my bottle up a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of bubbles in there. It's not a big deal. First thing I'm going to do is cover the surface of my sand dollar. Now the sand dollar is going to want to drink this stuff in really quickly. It's not going to be like working on the other surfaces. Alright, so after I've kind of dampened my sand dollar here with some of this stuff, couple little bristles came out of my brush. They really won't show underneath there, I don't think, but all right. I'm gonna take this. Move my seahorse here. I'm gonna kind of square my design up on my sand dollar. And I want the pumpkins to be centered nicely, and the foliage is just sort of extra. Then I'm going to paint this right over the top. I know a lot of people are very dedicated to the other way of doing this with the thicker Mod Podge, but I really have difficulty with that, and I find this for me works a lot better. And sand dollars are actually a little easier to decoupage than the big scallop shells are, because they're kind of domed instead of being convex. And the napkin gently sort of stretches a little almost to accommodate that. Once this is done, once I've gone all the way around it, with my edge wet like that from the decoupage medium, the napkin will tear very easily. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to reach and pull toward the back gently. And it's going to come right off along the edge. See that? Now I'm speeding this up for the video, but as you do this in real time, go slow. Now the last part to wonder about here is where the holes are in the sand dollar. So while this is still wet, I'm going to take something small and sharp. You can also do this with the water pen too. Just go through where that is. Push things toward the back. And if you don't know where the hole is, you just hold it up and see where the light comes through. And again, I sped this up a little bit for the video. Just take your time and work slowly. You can do this with just your paintbrush if you feel confident enough to it, but the little hole helps you get started. And go with a slightly smaller brush here. Let's see. And this is a smaller brush. I'm going to go into this and decoupage that kind of to the edge of the hole. On the smaller ones, it won't be so noticeable, but on this bigger hole, very much so. It's a little easier on the smaller holes. Just take the brush and go back and forth a little bit. It does it nice and quickly, but with the bigger one, you got to be a little more careful. I usually like to go one time around the edge too. Just make sure everything is sealed and tacked down. And then of course, after this dries, you can sand this or do whatever. And there we have it. We have little pumpkins on a sand dollar. And all this will need is a little hanger of some kind so that it can be hung up and admired. And there's that. And to make the hangers, guys, is really easy. I just measured the height of the sand dollar and cut ribbons about 2 inches longer than that. Folded over that top inch to make a loop, and then I attached the sand dollar to it, put a little ribbon bow in the center. There you go. There's a better look at that. And that's what kind of allowed me to pass a string through that so that I could hang it from my curtain rod and from my heron, as you will see in just a couple of moments. So all my little sand dollars went in my living room. That one's hanging off of my turtles. There's a little ghost girl. She's hanging off of my pelican. And the pumpkin's hanging off of the bottles we downed during Hurricane Ian evacuation. And then over here by my candles, I have the little one decoupage pumpkin hanging from the neck of my heron. And I have the other one above my television set hanging off the center of my curtain rod. Oh, I just love them. They're so sweet. Now for the bigger decoupage project, our pumpkins. Ooh. We're going to do some Halloween and I guess you could kind of say Thanksgiving in a way crafts. Here you see I have a couple of pumpkins. These are just a plastic pumpkin. You can get these at Hobby Lobby. I got these both on sale for 40 off. So this one I think cost me like $8. And I think this one cost me like $4. And they're cute and they're close enough in color where I'm not going to worry about making any color changes. To make some really cute coastal vibed Halloween / Thanksgiving decoration. Now pretty much every year everybody trots out with the orange, the black, the purple, and the green. And those of us that are coastal and shell inclined feel a little like it's not really something that goes with our vibe. At least that's how I feel. So just because we're going for a fall theme doesn't mean that we have to do those colors. And it also doesn't mean we have to have, spiders and ghosts on everything either. Of course, you can do that. You can put whatever you want to decoupage-wise on these things. But I'm going to be creating a pair of pumpkins that I'll be able to look at all year around because I'm going to use some coastal-themed, sort of muted colors to be decoupaging these two pieces with. I have this napkin, which is some really cool shells. So the first part of this is that you have to take your napkins apart. We aren't going to have to pre-prep the surfaces or anything like that. The decoupage stuff will take care of that for us. But we do need to get these napkins apart. We're going to go from something that's this thick to just this single layer of the design. Most of your napkins are going to be either 2 or 3 ply. This one happened to be a 3 ply. Some of them are 2, most of them are 3. And there's a few different ways you can go about getting these things taken apart. Now, for me personally, I just rough up one of the corners until I dislodge that top layer a little bit. And then I peel it, just like this. And then there's my other 2 plies. They're gonna come off of there. Now, another method for getting your napkins apart is a tape method. I've seen a lot of folks use a tape method. I personally never tried it, but I suppose we could. I've been told you put the tape and then pull. Well, that got 1 layer. Okay. Will it get the second? Yep, it works. Truthfully, I think my little scrunch up the corner method works a little better, to be honest, but we'll go ahead and get that off of this one. And then I'm going to go ahead and separate this one and get that beautiful, lovely seahorse off of that. That is so fabulous. Really pretty. And it's kind of fun how this is like a little mat. That's neat. There we go. Haha. Gotcha. And it doesn't really matter if you've wrinkled your napkin a little bit. You're going to be decoupaging this onto a curved surface. You're going to be taking all of those wrinkles out. And here we have our little seahorse. You know what? I might put both of those seahorses on. And the napkin just happens to be ripping along this folded edge. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to use that part. There we go. For the pumpkins, things are going to be a little different because we're working on a much bigger surface area, and we're going to be individually removing these little motifs and applying them onto the pumpkin. Right now I'm taking a look at the top down, and I have a line here. Let's see how many sections we have. 14 sections. All right, so 4, 5, 6, 7. So right here, I guess, would be the middle. And I suppose that makes sense. You know, we've got the stem here sort of pointing. So I'm going to go ahead and consider that. Put a little mark here. And looks like a little one there, just to show me where my front and my back are. Now on this one, it's a little easier because this part of the pumpkin's a little wider than this part. So it's easy to go ahead and say that this stretch here is my front, roughly the middle there. So that would be the back there. Now, to get your little designs off of this, well, you're not really getting them off, I suppose. You're getting them apart. Apart is the right word to use. You can cut things with scissors, or you can use what's called a water pen. Now, watercolor pencil artists and folks who work with mixed media and alcohol inks, they know what these are, and they use them often, but most of the rest of us don't. It's a little pen that you fill up with water in here. See that? You just get this off of here. I'm going to squeeze it so you can see that. See how water comes out of there, and it's a brush? So you can paint around what it is you want to remove and gently tear. A torn edge, in a lot of cases, will blend into your background a little more smoothly than a hard cut edge will. And it's particularly important if you're going to cut to make sure you've got all those extra layers off the back, because then it really will leave a line. But you can do it either way. So let's see. What does this say? Life is a voyage of discovery. And watching me cut napkins is a little bit like watching paint dry, so I've gone ahead and sped this part of the video up for you guys so you don't have to suffer through it. It's a lot easier to make all this work if your background is light colored or white. And so not all napkins will work. Some napkins work better on a big shell. The design's all the way across the napkin, and you can make that work out great. Other napkins don't work for that. This kind of napkin works great for taking the pieces and parts off, but something with a design all the way across it would not work well for applying to a very round surface like this. So I tried separating the little designs off the napkins two different ways. Here I'm doing the water pen kind of method where you wet it and then tear it, which did make me damage a couple, and I didn't love that. He has some finer detail. I am going to use the scissors to cut this guy up. So I will go ahead and we'll fast forward through all this stuff, and we'll come back when I'm done cutting things. I only have one of these seahorse napkins, and I couldn't afford to damage any of the other little designs on it like I had with the water pen. So I decided to go ahead and cut the rest of this, especially the seahorse, out with the scissors so that I didn't lose any of the fine detailing, especially not on the seahorse. So this is kind of my middle. In this instance, I'm not going to put a layer down. I'm going to just let this soak through the napkin and stick it down.
No base Mod Podge.
So why did I do it this way instead of putting the Mod Podge down first with the pumpkin? The pumpkin is plastic. It doesn't have any absorbency to it at all. When we decoupage seashells, sometimes there's a little bit of where it'll suck a little moisture in. When we did the sand dollars, absolutely sucked a whole bunch of moisture in. But this thing is plastic and very smooth. So I didn't need to have to worry about that moisture sucking. So all I had to do was just go over the top of it, and it goes right through the napkin and glues it to the surface. Just like that. I'm going to work slow because of the ridges on the pumpkin too. There. And see, it's stuck into place now. Without all the extra gloopy, messy stuff. Again, you want to work slow. You don't want to tear your napkin. Kind of gently brush things and gently move. Again, slow and steady. If you need to tap instead of to brush, do that. Look with the little fin. We need to tap to get it into the crease. Go. Just decoupage a seahorse on the front of that napkin. How great is that? Or on the front of the pumpkin. Just continue on this way, working your way around this pumpkin shape. And then after everything is decoupaged on there and has dried, you can spray it with a sealer so that nothing can damage it, and be quite happy and complete. Let's see, what else do I want to add here? Since I took the time to do this coral, I guess, I'll use that over here by my seahorse. Oh, that looks great. It's starting to look really nice. And of course on the other side, directly across from where this one is where I'll put the other one. And I think I'm just going to kind of stagger and arrange the shells and the little starfish and all that good stuff. Let's put this right here. And again, you see I'm not even gluing this in place or taping it or anything. I'm simply getting this liquid Mod Podge on my brush and brushing it into place. And it's just that easy, guys. You'll see that the Mod Podge darkens the colors a little bit. Makes them a little brighter, which is kind of nice. Especially on these designs, which are sort of muted. Now, that's gonna go with my house so much better than an orange and black jack-o'-lantern. That looks fabulous. If you get any runs, just smooth the Mod Podge over the pumpkin. And when you go to seal it, you can seal it with a gloss or you can seal it with a matte finish. The one I happen to be using here, this is gloss. But honestly, my favorite one is the satin one. I get the best luck with the satin. I just can't find my bottle of it right this minute. Packed it up to take it someplace, and now I don't know what to do with it. Now, all this stuff still being wet is fairly fragile still, though, okay? So you don't want to be manhandling everywhere that you've put on a little decoupage design either. So work slowly and gently, give things time to dry. Don't rush the process. Enjoy the process, because it's honestly a lot of fun. And you can get something really cute when you do it this way. Put this one up here. And this is a relaxing process. Just get music on and just relax out while you do this. Enjoy taking your time with it and appreciating it. It's very meditative. Heck yeah. Now that one I did damage, so I am not going to use that one in a main part of the design, but over here by the bottom. Then we'll put this on an angle, and then you won't even notice that part of the design is missing. If you get a wrinkle, gently lift. Don't pull hard or you'll pull the napkin right apart. Okay, so that little scallop is now down by the bottom. Nobody even notices that his little scallop part is damaged. And I will get some more of the motifs removed from the napkins and keep doing this and come back and show you when everything is complete. All right, after quite a bit of tedious cutting and tearing, I have a bunch of little napkin motifs separated out and ready to go. Now you already saw me start on that cute seahorse. So we've got the rest of the seahorse pieces cut out, and these little shells, I'm going to put these on that smaller pumpkin, and they may end up being closer together and being, you know, much tighter grouping than this big pumpkin here. So here it is, what I've got so far. So first things first, I'm going to take and put the other seahorse on the opposite side of this pumpkin. Also, I'm going to make sure that everything's in frame on the camera. Okay, cool. Make sure you can see what I'm doing if I'm doing it. And there's the top of the seahorse's head, so that should go right there. So I'm going to take, like I did last time, and just hold it. And then just paint the Mod Podge liquid on. Cut out lots of those little pieces because you're actually going to need more than you think you will to cover that larger pumpkin, especially if some of your design pieces are small. Basically on this large pumpkin, the only big things I have are the seahorses, and then everything else is a much smaller motif, a much smaller piece. And you can see I'm messing with the design, picking it up, laying it back down. But essentially, this is all you're going to do. You're going to work your way around the pumpkin. You're going to fill in areas that look like they need something there for balance. And I started off by making sure my seahorses were pretty well placed, and then filling in around that so that I had a variety of different little designs on there, all well spaced out so that everything was balanced. once you're done covering both the pumpkins, you're going to want to let that Mod Podge dry a little bit before we go to the next step. But here you can see how everything is laid out and spaced, and there's negative space without anything in it, and there's design space where their stuff is. And I try to just keep a good balance of that. On the smaller pumpkin, things are a bit closer together, and the motifs are larger, which balances out everything in a much different way. So it's the same technique, but a completely different look by using different designs and different napkins. For our last step, we're going to be covering over our pumpkins with the clear Gorilla Glue. And you see how I had a brush? Yeah, that's a mistake. That's how I know to tell you to use a sponge one, because I couldn't get this stuff out of that brush. Another mistake that I made here was believing that the Gorilla Glue wouldn't stick to the silicone because the hot glue doesn't. Yeah, that was a mistake as well. And my pumpkins kind of stuck to the mat a little bit and got some of that stuff on my silicone mat, and it's been nearly impossible to get off. So when you're doing this step, I highly recommend that you cover your work surface with wax paper, parchment paper, cling wrap, whatever it is, to protect everything and not let that Gorilla Glue dry on your good silicone mat. And here are our finished pumpkins with their nice thick coating of Gorilla Glue glazing them. See how nice and shiny that is now compared to how matte it looked a few minutes ago when we were still working on it. Oh, they are just beautiful. I absolutely love having these in my living room. I think they're great. They're awesome for Halloween, and they're awesome for all year round too. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, I hope you enjoyed these fun SHELL-oween projects, and make sure you stay tuned to the ESH-Way BEEZ-You channel so you can see that advanced candlestick holder project that I showed you earlier in an upcoming video. We're also going to have a trip to Sanibel to go shelling, and then visit the Trivia Art Gallery to see an Anna Chan exhibit. I'm going to also be doing a review of her kit, and huge news, our Shell Club has a class scheduled with Anna very, very soon. So not only will I be able to give you a review of the kit, but I'll be able to share some more about the class itself as well, and give you a few tips and tricks and pointers for making your own sand creation. Make sure you stay to the end of the video and watch up here for some links for some other videos that YouTube thinks that you would enjoy. And remember, we'll see you again next week right here from the beach and the craft room.